You don't have to be around Connection Church very long to know that we're big on three things, and that's making sure that everyone who comes our way feels seen, loved, and valued. When I think about that, it's funny to me to think about being loved and valued because you want all the love and value that someone's going to give you. But when it comes to being seen, yeah, I want to be seen, but not too much. Look, but don't look too closely because it's not all pretty over here. At some point, I'm going to need my privacy, right? And you probably know what I'm talking about if you had one of those mothers or fathers who, from the kitchen or from the family room, could see every inch of the house, and you couldn't get away with anything in your bedroom because you'd always hear, I saw that, I heard that. And just like at some point, like, please stop seeing me. I think it's easy to think about God in that way. Like, yes, we want to be seen by God, but I don't want God watching all the time because I'm not a perfect person. And it takes me to the story of Hagar, and she is the reason we know God is the God who sees us, because she is the one who called God El Roi, the God who sees me. And it was in a moment where she was fleeing from a persecutor, and she was pregnant, and she was young, and she was in the wilderness, and she needed a bailout. And in her moment of distress, God shows up. And he shows up in kindness to her. And she says, you are the God who sees me. And I think for all of us, that's a moment where we wouldn't mind being seen in the middle of our problems. But what about in the middle of just the messiness of our lives and how we get sideways sometimes? That makes me think about Jonah. And Pastor Bernie's dad talked about Jonah this past Sunday. And part of the story that we're less familiar with is, yeah, he returned to Nineveh. But after sharing the message that God had with him for the people of Nineveh, he didn't want to see the people of Nineveh saved. So just in a moment of just a disobedient heart, he sits up on a hill and just waits for their destruction. And even in that moment where we might not want to be seen, God sees Jonah and responds to him, again, with kindness, and asks him the question, isn't it my call, like who I show mercy to and who I show grace to? And that is the God we serve. We don't need to be concerned about being seen by him, whether in a moment of need or a moment of just disobedience or messiness. That is our God. He is El Roi, and he responds to us with goodness. He is the God who sees us.